You had sex with someone. Maybe it was planned, maybe it wasn't. Maybe you thought you were ready, and now you're lying there and something feels off. Not physically, emotionally. You feel exposed, vulnerable. Maybe you want them to hold you and they're already pulling away. Or maybe you feel nothing at all and that scares you because you thought you'd feel something. Or maybe you feel sad or regret or a strange kind of emptiness you can't explain. And you don't know if what you're feeling is normal, if it means something went wrong, if you made a mistake, or if this is just what happens and nobody talks about it. So you stay quiet. You don't say anything. You try to make sense of it alone. But here's what nobody tells you. Whatever you're feeling right now, it's real. And it matters. And you're not broken for feeling it.
Here's what's really happening. Sex isn't just physical. It's neurological, emotional, psychological. When you have sex, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the one that makes you feel close to someone, connected. And that feeling, it's not something you choose. It's chemical. It's your body doing what it's designed to do. So if you're lying there feeling attached to someone you barely know, feeling like this meant more than it actually did, that's not you being naive or clingy. That's your brain responding to intimacy. And it doesn't know the difference between casual sex and commitment. It just knows you were vulnerable with someone. And vulnerability creates connection, whether you wanted it to or not.
And this makes sense. You're not doing this because you're cold or unfeeling. You're doing it because the cost of being perceived as weak, as a woman in professional spaces, is too high. You've seen what happens to women who show emotion, who admit they're struggling, who aren't perfectly composed. They get labeled, dismissed, passed over. So you learn to manage perception, to never let them see you crack, to be twice as good, to get half the credit. And it worked. You succeeded. But the version of you that succeeded isn't the version that connects. It's the version that performs. And performance doesn't build intimacy. It builds distance.
This is where it gets complicated. Because there's a difference between feeling bad after sex because the experience wasn't what you hoped, and feeling bad because something happened that you didn't want. And knowing the difference matters. If you're feeling regret because you thought you'd feel closer and you don't, or because you wanted them to stay and they left, or because it felt mechanical or empty or disconnected, that's disappointment. That's incompatibility. That's your body and brain realizing this wasn't what you needed. And that's painful. But it's not violation. But if you're feeling bad because they ignored something you said, because they pushed past a boundary, because you said stop or slow down and they didn't, because you felt pressured or coerced or like you couldn't say no, that's different. That's not incompatibility. That's a violation. And you're allowed to name it. You're allowed to feel angry or confused or betrayed. You're allowed to recognize that something happened to you that shouldn't have. And it's not your fault. Not because of what you wore or where you were or what you said yes to before. None of that makes violation okay. Here's the part that's hard. Sometimes the line between those two things feels blurry. Sometimes you can't tell if you're upset because the sex was bad or because something happened that crossed the line. And that confusion, that uncertainty, it's valid. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't have to know immediately if what happened was okay or not. You're allowed to sit with it, to feel it, to try to make sense of it. And part of that process is asking yourself questions. Did I feel safe? Did they listen when I spoke? Did they check in with me? Did I feel like I could say no or stop at any point? And if the answer to any of those is no,
then something went wrong, even if you can't name it yet, even if it doesn't fit the clear-cut definitions you've been given. This is also about communication, and this is where most people fail you because nobody teaches you how to talk after sex, how to say, I need you to hold me right now, or that felt disconnected and I'm not sure why, or I'm feeling vulnerable and I need reassurance, or I didn't like that and I need us to talk about it. Nobody tells you that it's okay to ask for what you need emotionally after a physical experience, that it's okay to expect the person you were intimate with to care about how you're feeling. And when you don't know how to ask, when you don't even know what you need, you just stay quiet and the feelings pile up, unprocessed, unspoken, and you carry them alone. Here's what you need to know. Feeling close after sex is normal. Feeling sad is normal. Feeling regret is normal. Feeling nothing is normal. Feeling relief is normal. Your body is trying to process an experience that was vulnerable and intense, and it doesn't always respond the way you expect, and that's okay. You're not too emotional, you're not cold, you're not damaged. You're just human. And your emotional response to sex is information. It's your system telling you something. Maybe it's telling you that you need more emotional safety before physical intimacy. Maybe it's telling you that this person isn't treating you the way you need to be treated. Maybe it's telling you that casual sex doesn't work for your nervous system. Or maybe it's telling you that something happened that you need to process more carefully. And you're allowed to listen to that information. You're allowed to change your mind about what you want. You're allowed to realize that what felt okay in the moment doesn't feel okay now. You're allowed to set different boundaries next time. You're allowed to need more, to want more, to expect more. And none of that makes you difficult or demanding or broken. It makes you someone who's learning what you need. And that's growth. Here's the other thing nobody tells you. You don't owe them your silence. If something felt off, if something hurt, if something scared you, you're allowed to say it. Not because it will change what happened, but because your feelings matter. Because naming what happened helps you process it. And if they respond with defensiveness or dismissal or anger, that tells you something too. It tells you they weren't safe, that your emotional reality threatens them. And that's not someone you need to protect by staying quiet. What this really is, underneath everything, is about learning that your emotional experience matters as much as the physical one. That sex isn't just something that happens to your body, it happens to all of you. Your heart, your nervous system, your sense of safety, your sense of self. And you're allowed to have feelings about it. Complex feelings, contradictory feelings, feelings that don't make sense right away. And you're allowed to need support while you figure them out. You don't need to have it all figured out right now. You don't need to know if what you're feeling is normal or if what happened was okay. You just need to know that what you're feeling is real, that it's yours, that it matters, and that you're allowed to take up space with it, to talk about it, to ask for what you need, to set boundaries for next time, or to decide there won't be a next time. Your body, your feelings, your choice. And nobody, not even the person you were intimate with, gets to tell you how to feel about what happened. That's yours, and it's valid, whatever it is.